What is going on, everybody? Welcome to NFL Conference Championship weekend. We're going to decide who goes to the Super Bowl. Hopefully my Rams will be in there, but it's going to be a tough one. We got some wild games, and we've got the whole crew here today, which is really nice. So, we'll get into all the plays and all that and what we like in the games. But before we do anything, I just sort of want to go around. Brandon, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm moving. I finally got everything moved into this one. Just got the camera out for this, so I'm happy. So, apologize for the boxes, but I'm at least here with the camera this time.
I was gonna say you better apologize for those boxes in the background.
Yeah,
boxes in the background. How are you going to do a show?
Yeah.
No, it's good. I'm happy to hear you're getting through it. Are you basically done?
Yeah, actually, I've got the rest of the house done. It's just the studio now.
Nice, Rody. How you doing today, man?
Doing good.
Nice. Sheets.
It's white out here.
Is it all snowy? What's you got the big storm?
Yeah, it's supposed to be like. I mean, it already started. It's going to be like between 8 and 12 inches today. I just hoping the my TV doesn't get blitzed during the game.
We'll be sweating the games, and Sheets will be sweating whether or not he gets to watch the games.
Right.
Because of the storm.
Right. Exactly.
Good to see Andy in chat. Good to see everybody. Remember to like and subscribe, all that stuff. All right. Sheets, I'll start with you on this one. Any overall thoughts before we get into it?
So we have I think we have a semi big piece of news still waiting to be delivered here. So I guess we can just talk about that right off the bat with Mac Hollins. So he was announced off the injured reserve, but still has a questionable tag.
He's playing.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't imagine him, being activated without playing. I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And I think that does change like a lot of what New England's been doing to him. I mean, Mac Hollins had an incredible target share before he left, So I think that expands the New England receiving core even more than it was already, So that is definitely something we're going to look for. I currently have him projected as in. But I'll kind of adjust that as we go along. But look, I mean, just the normal things. This is the last classic slate of the season, so it only takes one more opportunity to remind everybody to watch your late swaps. It's you should have plenty of time to see what's going on in New England, Denver, and there's stuff that you can do in that Rams Seattle game. Like if you have some of the guys in, if you don't like the way things are going, you could pivot off of some of the chalkier builds. So. That's the last time I'm going to say this for NFL Classic this year. This is the last NFL Classic slate. I guess that's overall my view. I mean, New England Denver rates to be the lower scoring game, I imagine. Rams Seattle have the two best offensive players on the board with Nakua and JSN, and aside from just getting into the actual games, that's my overall view.
Yeah, I think that sounds pretty right to me. I think that the way you're going to win this slate is with tight ends and receivers. I don't think there's anything groundbreaking there. It's really, really hard if you try to hand build even to get away from the Kenneth Walker thing. I will just mention part of the reason why I really like the Rams today is that Charbonnet, you'll see him out there all the time because he like Kenneth Walker is we know he's not a pass blocking guy. So I think that's another place you can look at, especially on Showdown. But I think that you could even consider on the 2-game slate a guy like Kalani for Seattle. That's a big piece. I'll just come out with it. I like the Broncos and I like the Rams today. I actually have a parlay with both of those teams. I actually think there's a chance that the Broncos could look really good in this game defensively. I know that they the Patriots have faced a couple tough defenses in a row, and they look terrible, by the way, offensively. They just against those two defenses, they just happened to those teams couldn't do anything offensively whatsoever. So I like the Rams and Broncos. I think the way to get different, and we'll get into some plays and all that stuff, but you've got all of these, like you mentioned Mac Hollins. I actually think his ownership's going to be a little higher than people think, and he did walk into the locker room with doing the old the Warriors, not the Golden State Warriors, the Warriors, the movie thing. He definitely looks like he's going to play. The one that's weird is that Troy Franklin is technically not actually out yet.
That's another one I was going to ask about. Yeah,
and that's a huge piece of information to not know, but we'll know in the next 30 minutes, I guess. But I mean, the guys you can get different with on the slate, like Little Jordan Humphrey, or it's a 2-game slate. Marvin Mims, Kanata Mumfield for the Rams, Xavier Smith, Jordan Whittington, Tyler Higbee, Terrence Ferguson, Elijah Arroyo for Seattle. Even Shaheed is looking like he's not going to be owned that much. Even Booty is not owned that much. Pop Douglas, Kyle Williams, Marvin Mitt. These are all of the different plays that are going to be out there, and somebody's going to win them, a bunch of money, and they're probably going to have like 6,000 or 7,000 left on the table. That's really what I think is going to happen. Not a guarantee, but that's I think that's very, very much in the cards today as a potential thing. So we'll start it off. I'm going to start off with you, Brandon, and we'll go position by position. What are you doing quarterback? Oh, that one other thing I want to throw out of there is the defenses in the second game are going to be so much lower owned than the defense in the first game. I just think with a high variance position that I think it's worth it to take a gamble and backload your defenses a little bit. That was one other thought I had. But let's get into quarterbacks, and we'll start with Brandon. Who are you getting to the most? And any big fades, any strong takes about quarterbacks and stacks here?
So per usual on these 2-game slates, I like to just focus on 2 quarterbacks, and Sheets mentioned the late swapping stuff, where that actually cost me like my entire entry fee last week. Late swapping to the second game, that was a complete bust, going from, I believe I had the Seattle quarterback to like getting a ton of Purdy, and then the 49ers did like nothing.
That was rough. That was a rough game.
That was a rough one to be like, okay, I'm doing really well. I'm going to try and get different and go more heavy on Purdy. So that was unfortunate. But I really like Stafford today. He's my primary quarterback, and I really like the value that Stidham gives you. I'm with you that I don't think Denver is going to look that inept today. I think they can very much compete with what he can offer. Like even when you look at like Bo Nix, like I don't see Bo Nix as like this elite quarterback. So I really don't think this is such a step down using Stidham. Now he does have a really bad tendency to throw interceptions. Honestly, if he does that, it's going to really, really hurt Denver, obviously. But for me, those are going to be the 2 guys I'm looking at, especially when we're looking at Drake May being the highest owned guy. I think I can get away and potentially survive him not having a good game, or at least, not throwing like 3 or 4 touchdowns. Plus, with how good Denver's defense has been at home, I think the Broncos are very much live in this game to win it.
Absolutely. How about you, Rody? What are you seeing at quarterback, and what do you like the most?
Yeah, I like that same call. I think I'm getting Saberson's giving me some Jarrett Stidham as well. So I'm getting a good amount of him. He looks good at his price. I like that. I do think they're going to compete. They got a lot of guys to throw to. I know Pat Bryant's back this week too. Another one of those receivers we got to get right with the Broncos though. So pairing him, you got a lot of options to pair him with and stuff like that. But I think he's a good option. I like Stafford a lot as well today too. So that's kind of where I'm going. I'm going to get Drake May's popping a lot in SaberSim. So you're going to get a lot in SaberSim with him still. So make your adjustments if you want to go with the other guys a little bit more.
Absolutely. And for what it's worth, SaberSim does, they have both Stafford and May projected a little less lower than where other places do, and Stidham for that matter, just for what it's worth. Sheets, what are you looking at quarterback? What are you getting to?
Yeah, so I'm currently have the least owned of the 4 is actually Stafford for me. And the other 3 are, close enough. I have Drake May a little bit higher than Stidham, a little bit higher than Darnold. And Stafford, I guess because of his price, is I have him the lowest amount, but I don't have any like big, huge fade there or really big stand. It's just, I don't think either of these quarterbacks are in great spots. You know what I mean? Like these are 4 good defenses.
Yeah.
So I'm not too worried about it. Just get some of everybody and hope, like you said, especially for the 2-game slate, just hope you get the right, secondary pieces right. Everybody's going to have some variation of JSN, Nakua, and Walker, right? So it's a question of what else you do.
Yeah, I have Stafford as number 1. I think May is you can completely make a logical argument there for Drake May. I watched Stafford a month ago put up 420 yards or whatever it was and 4 touchdowns against the Seattle defense. So in Seattle, and I'm not terribly afraid of taking Stafford against anybody. I think the Rams have. I think McVay is the best coach in football, as I've said before. I think he's done a terrible job game managing these first 2 games, and they were very fortunate to win them. And he's been the one who's come out and said this. He said he got bailed out by the players, and it's been a nightmare. I think he'll have some things drawn up today, and I think it's Stafford. Stafford and May are the two most logical, but I actually right now have Stafford, Stidham, then May, and almost no Darnold for me. Look, I've watched this Rams team play Darnold. These are the last 3 times. They had 4 picks and I think 4 sacks the last time, 3 picks and 7 sacks the time before, 5 picks, 5 turnovers, and 7 sacks the game before that. That was a playoff game last year when he was in Minnesota. The Rams have done a great job scheming against Darnold, and I'm gonna bet on that continuing a little bit, especially as Darnold is currently projected to be the second highest owned quarterback. Give me less Darnold. I'll probably be less than half the field on him, maybe even like a quarter of the field. All right, moving over to running back. We'll start it with you, Sheets, and then we'll come back around. We'll go to Sheets, Rody, Brandon, then me. Sheets, what are you getting to at running back?
So as I mentioned, like Kenneth Walker's, going to be a very, very difficult fade. And as a result, I have just a ton of them. And this, we're talking 2-game slate stuff, and then the other guys I have are Harvey and Stevenson. So my overall ownership is not that off the board. Then there's Kyron Williams. I have him at like 28%. And then I do have some Henderson. I don't have any of these other guys though that you were mentioning. The guy from Seattle, whoever that is.
I'm playing these guys. I'm forcing them in. It's not. You're not going to get to them with the projections.
Yeah, I'm going to get like a lineup or two with Blake Corum. I'm going to get a lineup or two with Jaleel McLaughlin, who I think is a decent play.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to get a lineup or two with the other Denver running back, the Beatty, just because. But I mean like a lineup or two. I mean a lineup or two out of 150.
Right.
To me, it's just it's the guys that I mentioned. Now we talked earlier, Bobby. I'm curious to see if you are still interested in doing this in pivoting to Travion Henderson as opposed to Stevenson.
Yeah, I guess I'll go next then because you brought it up. Yeah, I do like Stevenson as a pivot off of Henderson. Henderson as a pivot off of Stevenson. I still am going to have probably more Stevenson than Henderson, but I think I'll end up with 20+% of Henderson and probably 30-something% of Stevenson, who's going to be 50% owned, whereas Henderson I expect to be more like 15% owned. So I'll be well over the field on Henderson and under slightly on Ramondre. I like Walker and Harvey. I do still like Harvey here. I know we haven't seen the big games out of him, but I think that Harvey is every bit as good of a play as actually. I think he's a better play than Stevenson is. And I think that Travion would be the guy who I'll probably force in a little bit. I'm forcing in like 9% Blake Corum right now. I might even get to a little bit higher. We'll see what happens with late swap. But I think there's completely a certain script where Corum ends up with 2 rushing touchdowns in this game and outscores Kyron Williams, even if Kyron is the more productive, more used back. I think the same is, and as Sheets mentioned, Jaleel McLaughlin, if you play a comeback script a little bit. Now, Harvey's good in pass protection and as a receiver, but they put McLaughlin on the field quite a bit last week. I also think Helani, just based on what I said about the pass blocking, look, if you play the Rams angle that the Rams are going to win this game and that maybe Seattle's down, and maybe you don't agree with that. Even if you don't, I think Helani is completely live here. So I'll see where I end up with him, but I'm going to probably bump him up and get, at least 3 or 4%. Same thing with McLaughlin. And then Corum's the one I've an interest in actually going like, all right, I can actually go like higher on him. Tyler Batty getting maybe 1 or 2 lineups, but most of that's a showdown play for me. How about you? We'll go to you, Rody, and then we'll go to Brandon.
Yeah, I was just asking a question. I want a question for you, Bobby. Do you like any 3 running back builds with all the running backs you named, or are you trying to stick it to some more receiver today?
I do have some 3 running back builds, but more it's receiver. And honestly, I love these tight ends upside today, and there's a lot of cheap ones. So where I use 3 running backs, I might be using one of the discounted McLaughlin or Helani in those lineups. That's sort of what I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's Walker and Harvey, and then I got to decide if I do the 4 receiver, the 3 running backs, or even a double tight end option too. But I like Harvey and Walker a lot today. They're my favorite. I do like Trayvon Henderson a little bit just because he's lower owned. You know, you got quite a discount in ownership with that. Even Quorum, you mentioned, you get quite a bit of ownership discount there, and they can both get in the end zone. You know, so pretty much like that exactly. So
that makes a lot of sense. How about you, Brandon?
Yeah, so outside of or actually, when I look at my ownerships for everybody, my fourth and fifth highest owned guys, and they're both sitting right around 55%, are Harvey and Walker. I will say that I really like Williams as probably like my actual favorite play, although I have about 40% of him. And regarding the three tight end lineups, I have about 200 lines today. I'm just focusing on like the 5 and the 25 and stuff, and I have about 20 of those with 3 running backs. I do think, however, probably like a quarter of those are probably like 2 running backs on the same team, for those that might be wondering or concerned, like with Walker and I forgot how to pronounce his name, George. So like I know I have lineups with both Walker and George together, and then both with Williams and Corum, because I think Corum is very much live as well, to potentially do something. But outside of that, if I'm getting to any Stevenson, any Henderson, that's looking like 28% Stevenson, 20% Henderson. I really like Harvey, Williams, and Walker today for good reasons. I will say that I'm probably, just by how I'm building today, I'm probably going to be under the field on Walker, just because I think by how I'm building with so much of the pass catchers from the Rams and all the cheaper bringbacks from Seattle, it seems that I'm getting lower than the field on Walker. So it seems like my biggest stances today are actually under the field on Walker, even though I have 50%, and then I'm not playing Drake May.
I really wish they made Walker 8K for today, or 9K or something. Just, it would have made it a lot more of a fun slate. We could talk about trying to decide between he and Nakua and JSN, but it's just weird. Like it's I mean, honestly, the Walker thing, I can do it in like, it's really hard when I hand build to not click that button. Like it's really, really difficult because it's just so easy to get him in with Puka and JSN if you want to. All right, we'll start off with you, Brandon, then for wide receiver, and then we'll go around to Rhodey and then Sheets. What are you getting to at wide receiver? Because I think this and tight end, as I mentioned, are going to be where you win or lose this slate, in my opinion.
So you mentioned at the start of the video that, if somebody wins, there's a good chance that they're leaving a lot of salary on the table, and this is specifically where that's going to come from. I think in every playoff weekend so far, we've seen somebody in the 3K range score like 22 points and completely like ruin the slate. But I think, obviously my stance on Walker is under the field. For that, I'm probably going to be over the field on JSM and Puka. I think I would rather take them than Walker. I think they have a higher ceiling, and just because you can very easily get them in. Yet again, I'm using a lot of Stidham from Denver as like, him plus, Cuttons or Cortland Sutton, and I'm probably going to have like 80% of both JSM and Puka here, and then I'm just going to try and pepper all of the rest of the 1v1s and stuff. I do like Hollins. We talked about him at the start. I already entered the weekend winning like 15 to 18% of him, just because his usage on the New England side and his price tag and all that stuff. I really like him. Other receivers that I like is like, one-offs or other people that might not be targeted as much. I really like Mims as well from Denver. Occupy Fantasy is really high on him. I don't exactly remember what was stated about him because I listened to that yesterday. But typically, if they like wide receiver, I typically try and get overweight on him. So it seems to be that Hollins and Mims are going to be the 2 guys that I'm going to try and be over the field on from a value perspective on this slate.
Yeah, I really like the idea of Mims on the, and we've said it before. It's weird that he's done so well in showdowns and stuff in general, and he's just always like he's a good 2-game slate player, because at least you're going to get like looks. They're gonna run a sweep play for him. They'll run some design stuff for him, a screenplay for him to have a big play potentially. He's always involved, whether Franklin plays or not. He'll definitely have some action. So I do like the idea of getting some of that Mims play. What about you, Rhodey?
Yeah, I mean, Puka and JSN are real strong plays for me today. I don't mind Puka and Adams as well together in lineups, a lot of lineups together. I play both of them even without Stafford. Pat Bryant's another guy that got hurt last time. He was getting a lot of reps, but obviously that was with Bo Nix. I like him as a young player too. He's been getting a lot more work, but we'll have to see how Stidham throws it around to these guys too. You know, you got a lot of Mims. We're still waiting on the news for Franklin. That's going to come in. That could be big news. And then I do like Hollins. I think he fits really good. I like that play a lot. Yeah, I'm just sticking to my favorite guys. Those are pretty much my high up. Diggs has been getting a lot of work, but like he's not getting like big yards or touchdowns, but he's getting a lot of targets and a lot of looks. He's just not having enough big games, but I'm still getting a fair amount of him too. Same with Sutton. It's been all these secondary guys. Like you said, a 3K receiver's been scoring 22 points every weekend, 2 touchdowns and a lot of yards. So I'm trying to focus on getting those guys right. The Hollins, the Demario Douglas, Humphrey type plays, and just getting more exposure to those guys. Hoping one breaks it and I got him right.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that makes a lot of sense. Sheets, what are you getting to at receiver?
I wish I had something off the board to share with you.
Any funny ones you got?
But no, I'm getting 70% Nakua and 70% JSN and then 40% Devontae Adams. You know what I mean? Like these are, and then I guess 35% Diggs. Is that right there with ownership? I have no idea.
It's probably going to be just probably even a little shorter than what he'll be owned.
Oh, really? Even with Hollins, I don't know. And then Sutton, one of the guys they even have Cup. I have probably right at market, like 25% right now. Shaheed a little bit, but I guess I only have 11%. I think Hollins is going to be pretty chalky actually if he gets announced in. But once he gets announced in. But yeah, sure, Demario Douglas, he's live for a touchdown. You know what I mean? But you know who I like? I'll go back to that same dude that you just keep playing every week, Bobby, and that Kyle Williams. You know, obviously with Hollins in, it you know makes it a little harder, but he's gonna be a vertical dude. You know what I mean? Like he's always live for a 70-yard touchdown pass,
sure.
You know, whatever. So I think you have to play some of that. So I guess as far as like off the board or whatever. I guess that would be the one guy, and yeah, I'll rely on you, Bobby. Which of these Ram dudes are going to get there? Is Whitting? I mean, I saw Whittingham. He was last week. He was really good. I mean, listen. I mean, the Rams are going to spread it around as whatever they get. You know what I mean? They're going to look for Nakua, and he's not open. They'll find somebody else. You know. Yeah. But they'll run. They run stuff for these guys. Oh, they'll run stuff for Parkinson deep. They'll run stuff for Ferguson deep. You know what I mean? Like they'll send Nakua over the middle and flail somebody out there. It's the question of who they run it for, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I think you could do worse than playing a handful of those Rams secondary guys.
Yeah, so it is an interesting question because one thing is like a guy who's not even supposed to dress today might end up being like my favorite of the sneaky guys, which is Tutu Atwell. I don't believe he's even going to play. He's got a 0 projection right now, but if he does, I'm interested because the one thing the Rams lack on offense is Nakua does not have elite speed. Devontae Adams at this point of his career did not have elite speed. Jordan Whittington has some real speed. Kanata Mumfield has some speed, and Xavier Smith has a lot of speed. And in the games against Seattle, we saw the Rams take shots to each of those guys. I believe that Xavier Smith had 2 big catches, I believe, in the last time they played Seattle. Now that was without, of course, Devontae Adams, but it's worth noting that they did look for these guys in some of these situations. Kanata Mumfield last time against Seattle did had a I believe he had 8 targets. I know again we didn't have Devontae Adams. But 8 targets against this team, that was a big game too. I think they might look for some of these guys on a big play, and I think they might design something specifically for them. Which one it is, I don't know. So I currently have like 6% of each of Mumfield, Smith, and Whittington, and I'm sort of going to let my decision be made at the late swap, which ones I ended up going with the most, because I want to see if they do end up dressing Tutu Atwell out of the blue, because that would be the one that I can certainly tell myself a story on, who's actually got some history playing with these Rams.
Yep.
The main guys though are, look, it's not going to be any different with JSN and Puka. Pat Bryant, I think was like until the ownership updated this morning, I was just like, why aren't people going to play this guy? He seems to firmly be their number 2. He was heavily involved until he got hurt. In the first possession, I think he had like 3 or 4 catches. I think Pat Bryant will be the next guy for me, followed by Devontae. I'm below the field on Sutton. I'm below the field on Diggs, like well below the field on Diggs. People forget this Denver, they have elite players in their secondary. They've got elite everything on defense. They didn't look great last week, but in general, they still have an elite defense. Getting to about 17% Marvin Mims, actually like 20%. Cooper Kupp, 18%, 18% Shaheed, 12% Hollins, 11% Booty. So I'm a little bit spread out on the other guys, but I really want to take shots on those other low-owned plays. And we'll get into my favorite spot over here at that tight end. I'll start it off just because I got some in, and we'll go sort of around the horn, Brandon, then Rhodey, then Sheets to close us out. But I really I like this matchup for Hunter Henry. I think that's one place you could get to Denver a little bit. And I point this out to see all the time. I said this when Sheets and I did a preview show. The Seattle's allowed the most yards to tight ends of any team in football. They're an excellent defense, and we see this happen sometimes with excellent defenses that they'll funnel to one spot. Well, the Rams have 4 guys who are going to be out there. So it's kind of hard to know which ones to pick. But when everybody's going Parkinson, and by the way, I'm with the field on Parkinson at I think I have exactly 22% of them. But I am going to have almost 20% of Tyler Higbee and almost 20% of Terrence Ferguson. So I am going for it, trying to get these low end plays. Ferguson if you watch them play, he's had some huge opportunities for massive games recently. Had a play called back, had the one he just missed in the end zone last week against the Bears. So I could feel Ferguson is probably the most logical other one. Tyler Higbee is such a monster presence. I feel like they can get him out in space and he'll have a chance to get in the end zone once. So I really like cycling through these Rams and being well overweight those guys because of it. Other than Hunter Henry, I'm sort of below the field on every other tight end. Barner's been really good against the Rams this year for what it's worth. But I just want to take my shots on these low-owned guys, and that's why I'll be lower on everybody else, way higher on the Rams tight ends. And the one other one that just from a logic standpoint I think makes a lot of sense is Evan Ingram, and I don't hear him getting talked about very much. Not a guy I love playing, but you have the backup quarterback in there. You've got you have the middle is where the Patriots tend to leave open the most because they like to keep everything in front of them. I could see Evan Ingram having a nice day today, so that's the last one I'll leave you with. But Rams. That's my tight end theory for today. Somebody from the Rams is going to be on the winning lineup. I hope it's not Parkinson because that's the one everyone has. I hope it's going to be one of the other ones. That's my take. Go ahead, Brandon. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm on the same boat as you with the Rams tight ends. That seems to be where my stuff is leaning towards just because I'm having so many Ram onslaughts and stuff. Right now I have 20% Parkinson. I have 15% Higbee, and then I have 10% Ferguson. That's really my opinion there. I've built lineups and they're either going down to Ferguson because they need the salary or just to get different. I am over the field on Evan Ingram. I think those are pretty much the only stances I have that are noteworthy. I'm pretty much, I guess I'm under the field on Henry as well. But everything you stated there is pretty much where I'm lining up. From a perspective, I like Parkinson the most because he's 3,500 and he's projected to be the best play on my stuff, but I don't really have anything to add past that.
Yeah, that makes I think that makes some sense. I really like the way Ferguson was coming on at the end of the year, and I actually think he might end up being a little more owned than maybe the field, the projections have. I'm just throwing that out there.
He looks like he's going to be owned a little bit, but I like Ferguson. I needed a little bit more savings, and I dropped from Higbee to him a little bit. Rebuilt my build a little bit. I like Ferguson. I really like Higbee. He's going to be low owned too today, so I like that call. And I built a bunch of hand builds already with Ingram, so that's what you two just said was right on kind of where I wanted to be or where I was hand building and feeling good about my build. I'm getting a lot of Hunter Henry and Sabersim though, and then AJ Barner a little bit there too. I know Arroyo's back today, activated. And he was starting to come onto it a little bit more too before he got hurt, but I think Barner's kind of took over that role. So kind of like that, Ingram, and then obviously I'm getting a bunch of Parkinson or 19% Parkinson in my Sabersim build. So pretty much right there with all those guys. I do like all those Rams tight ends. I really want to level those out a little bit and get exposure to them.
Yeah, I think that makes some sense. Real quick, I wanted to mention before Sheets goes that Troy Franklin is officially out, so we don't have to worry about that.
That's great news.
Yeah, good to have now.
Yeah,
Sheets.
good to have early.
Yeah. What are you
Barner? I have Barner as my top guy right now.
Okay.
And then after that, Parkinson and the other guys you mentioned, like Hunter Henry. But for whatever reason, right now I'm getting Parkinson. I just Barner. I mean, I'll let you guys know that. But as far as pure disclosure, I am going to be rerunning everything once the Frank again, because there's obviously something in the projection with Franklin maybe being in that could have impacted these other guys' projections. So I'm going to rerun that.
Same.
And I'm going to rerun once Hollins is officially listed as in. I'm going to rerun everything, and I'm going to rerun everything probably in about a half an hour, and then I'm going to put everything back on the site. Probably, everybody have plenty of time to adjust. But again, like there's so many ways you could flip flop in that late game. I mean, because most people are going to do this. You're going to play either two of the three, right, between Adams, Nakua, and what's his name, and JSN. I would imagine. So I mean, you could mess around in somehow. But the other running back, I wanted to go back to the running back for a second. How much of Kyron Williams are all three of you guys playing?
Let me just double check that one for me.
What's your overall look at? Because he's, I mean,
I've got 42%.
Okay.
I'm at 49.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah,
I just reran my build, so I can't.
And I see the question. It actually makes a lot of sense because he's the one who I feel like is the hardest one to figure out where his ownership actually is going to end up. I've seen it like earlier this morning, I got up, I couldn't sleep. And like 5 hours ago, I was seeing projections for him in some places where he was going to be like 20% owned. Then it jumped up to like 50. Now it's at like 40. I don't really know where he's going to end up owned, actually, to be honest with you.
Bobby, the vibe that, okay, so I'm trying to put my finger on what bothers me about McVay. Okay. And I think no. I think that I finally can kind of grasp it. It seems to me, and this has been what I felt, I didn't realize how to verbalize it for like a couple of years now, really, is that he's got these players and he has these plays and he, the game starts and he does his thing and he runs stuff and he runs plays and then like he's not really like paying attention to like whether he's winning the game or not or like losing the game or not. And then like somewhere in the fourth quarter is like, okay, so what's up? You know what I mean? Like, so somewhere in the fourth quarter, okay, so now do I need to run the clock out or do you need to come back? And it feels as though like he's like running his stuff and then like, oh boy, we're down 3 to Carolina, or oh boy, we're up 17 against such and such, and then we adjust accordingly. It seems he has the script of plays and the script of game flow in his head that okay, he's going to run all this stuff, and now okay, so how did it go? Oh, we lost. Or how did it go? Oh my God, we really need to win here against Carolina. So it doesn't seem like he's the way I described to you, earlier in the week is it just seems like they just kind of like walk through the motions and they're lazy about it and then they get their wins anyway. But I think that's what it is about the McVay that bothers me is it doesn't seem like he's interested in winning until later.
He did some of the strangest things I've ever seen a coach do. First of all, he didn't run the ball against the Bears, which are the worst defense in the NFL, the worst run defense in the playoffs, along with the Bills. And they wouldn't run the ball for some reason. The first half, I believe through the first almost 3 quarters, they had like 7 carries. Then they would just run the ball. And in overtime, they ran the ball 3 times in a row and didn't even let Stafford get a pass off the first possession they had in overtime. I don't know what he was thinking, to be honest with you. It's a little too what I would say is, and he and Sean Payton are both guilty of this. They're 2 of the best coaches in the NFL. They're probably going to be 2 of the best in NFL history, but they can definitely be guilty of a little bit of FPS, a little fancy play syndrome. They get into and they get in these routines where it's like, why are we running the ball 10 straight times when we haven't run the ball? Like it's just like over the top overthinking, in my opinion. I don't know. That's where I'm at least.
I mean, McVay to me is live in this game to like, okay, Seattle comes out, scores a touchdown, and then like Stafford throws a pick 6 or something, and it's like 14-0 Seattle. And then like in McVay's playbook is okay, now it's Blake Corum. You know what I mean? Now I want to run the ball with Blake Corum because it's in my script that I have to run Blake Corum a series. You know what I mean? Like I feel as though he doesn't really attach to the game until it's like I don't want to say too late or until like the fourth quarter. That's my stupid non-expert take on it. But listen, I think that they better. I really think they better come out firing really, really early in this game, the Rams. Listen, Seattle is in a perfect spot. You know, they haven't had to exert themselves in like a month, okay? And everybody's healthy, and they're at home, and the Rams are coming off seems like 100 straight road games, okay?
Yeah.
And they better get off to a good start, or they could be in trouble, I think.
Perception is a funny thing because the Rams would be favored in this game if not for this last few weeks.
That's the present.
Yeah.
Well, I know, but like the Rams haven't done like anything awful. They lost the game against Atlanta where they kind of didn't really know whether they needed to care. That Seattle game was the last real game that they other than the playoff games and whatever. And by the way, the defense was very good against the Bears. It wasn't like it was bad. It was the offense that I was annoyed by the play calling. And I don't think I think they're going to be totally prepared and ready. And when it's 14-0 Rams early, you'll see a lot of people going, oh my God, or whatever. But
it's possible.
I like the Rams a lot today. I really do. I've talked. You just tell me this, and this is also like even if I wasn't a betting person, also didn't the line move down too? Just an interesting thing. I think it didn't move down officially. Although Saberson's got it closer. But anyway, yeah, I'm a big fan of what the Rams can do, and I think that they'll be okay today. Seattle does have a little extra rest. There's a lot of bad things out there, but it is reasonable weather.
The other thing that I'm a little concerned about, the fact that we've all sort of talked ourselves into, not us three, but like the whole world is talked themselves into this idea that Denver is kind of live here, that like Stidham is like not that bad, and the fact is he hasn't played it forever, and he wasn't ever that good anyway, and I just have this feeling that we've all talked ourselves into this narrative that he's not bad, and it's at the end of the day it's going to be like 27-0. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Well, we shall see though. But what I do believe, and I really believe this a lot, we talked about this earlier this week, is that Sean Payton, as we mentioned, like he's looking at this like he's totally free rolling this, and he's like, you know what, I'm Sean Payton, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn this idiot loose. You know what I mean? And worst case scenario, you know what? Hey, I didn't have Bo Nix. What do you want from me? You know what I mean? But but the good news, and hey, Stidham's fault. You stink. You know, I dealt with what I had. You know, but he's like, you know what? I'm gonna just fling the ball over the place, get some variance. You know, and try to be a hero. You know,
I hear you. To play devil's advocate just for a second, really quickly on that, because we just watched the Patriots, and they totally could have lost that game last week.
Oh yeah,
a quarterback putting up the worst game you've ever seen.
Oh yeah,
I mean, one of the worst games a playoff quarterback has ever had it.
Yeah.
And they almost lost. So I'm saying the defense could do a lot there. I like them, and I like them. I like the Broncos like 23 to like 16 or something like that. That's where I'm at.
Where are you guys at on defense exposure? Because like I'm well overweight to Denver.
I have the Rams as number one by a lot because when you factor in ownership, and also I just mentioned that they've just completely teed off on Sam Darnold. Even in games where Seattle scored 38 points, it was not because of that. It was not because Sam Darnold was doing much. It was because of Kenneth Walker and Rashid Shaheed running back kicks. So I have the Rams, Broncos, Pats, then Seattle. That's the ranking. I've got them right now. How about you? How about you, Sheets?
Me? Usual, probably 25.00% of all four of them, I guess.
He's just making sure somehow just to put maximum 25 for each of them.
max 24.
Somehow he's going to end up with no defenses on our.
No, I'll leave that empty. There's just no reason to take it. I mean, to have anybody more than 30, or less than 20. I mean, honestly, like
isn't there a reason when two teams are like combined for 20%, like with the Rams and Seattle? Why wouldn't you just make sure you're overweight those two teams?
Well, I will be. I mean,
I'm just saying that. Well, yeah, right. If you play 25%, you will.
That's what I'm saying. That's true. I can't imagine anybody honestly like making a logical case why any of these defenses are better than the other.
I just did. What are you talking about? I just made a whole good case about the Rams and what they've done to Sam Darnold, and it's not a small sample size anymore. We got 4 games.
Yeah, they've done really well against
quarter of an NFL season.
Yeah, but does that make the case they're better than any of these other three? You have you have New England against a nobody quarterback. You know what I mean? Denver, the best defense at home, and then you have Seattle, who's no one's done. I mean, except I don't know.
That's completely fair. That all of those points are extremely fair. I just am personally.
No, you made a good case for why the Rams defense is a good play. That's great, but no one's made a case why any of them is better than the other. Honestly,
yeah, that's fair. That's fair, and I think it is hard to make it, but that's why.
I mean, you think about it, logically. Probably the worst defense, like if I had to talk this out, would probably be Seattle, and that's kind of ridiculous to say, right? I mean, like because at least you could tell, that the other team has like all kinds of skill players, and the Rams are really good, and they've already put up numbers against Seattle. But how am I going to come out and say the Seattle at home in that building is like the worst of the four defenses?
Absolutely, I'm totally fine with Seattle.
Right.
Like
So my point is that 25.0%. That's my
okay. Well, that's good because that means you're like 3 times the field on Seattle. So that's
fine.
Yeah, I like it. I like that idea. I just personally didn't want to play the 50% owned defense Broncos. That's why.
Who's going to be the chalk? New England or Denver?
Denver, right? Based on the projections and everything. I'm surprised. But they have like 80% of it, the ownership going to the first game.
I'll tell you something else, by the way, before we get out of here, I guess, is that maybe we'll talk maybe during the week. You know who's like totally dead to me?
Who's that?
Rico Hoey is totally dead to me.
Oh no! What happened? Sheets. I was going to ask you about the golf.
The only guy I played in both lineups was Rico Hoey.
Oh my god.
Totally dead to me.
Oh my god, man! I'm so pissed off about that.
It is what it is. I mean, I played the cash game play, and he completely busted and withdrew. I mean, like just the worst. The worst.
Oh, in this tournament especially, that's just
dead to me.
I'm sorry.
But the thing is, no one's going to be really dead to me from this NFL slate. I mean, like it's. I wish I had a stand to take. I really just don't have one.
Yeah, I mean. We mentioned some things that made some sense, there were some stands. Even the defense thing is a stand. It's just a different type of stand. Spreading out at defense is actually not going to be what most people do. I'm telling you, it's going to load up on Denver and the Patriots. It's just
okay. So here we go. So here we go for the last, not the last time, I guess, the Super Bowl. I'm not going to be around for the Super Bowl, by the way. I'll be away. But so what's the last take? Like what's going to win somebody $1 million that we haven't really either stressed or people have been holding back, or like, well, what's going to be the $1 million winner? I mean, so let's start with Bobby. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll go Tyler Higbee, aka Terrence Ferguson's the logical one, but Tyler Higbee's going to have like 150 ownership, so I'll say the really far out one. Tyler Higbee or Xavier Smith.
Okay. Not Tutu Atwell.
We'll see if he plays. He's not supposed to play right now. I can't pick a guy who's not going to play.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Brandon? Yeah. What's winning the $1 million?
I still like Mims and Hollins. Those are my two favorite, like, kind of crazy plays, and I like playing them together.
Yeah, Mims Hollins together is going to be low on.
How about you? What do you think? What do you think, Rody?
Yeah, you put me on the spot. I'm going to go with lower owned trade.
I didn't put you on the spot. You went last. I mean, I made everybody else go first.
I did have time to think. So Henderson's lower ownership today. More running back build today. I'll go switch it up.
Yeah.
Trayvon Henderson, lower owned today.
Yeah. So for me, now this is not going to be it's not going to be too off the board, but I'm going to say 2 touchdowns.
Ooh.
I'll say 10, 110, and 2 for Cooper Kupp. That's going to be my and coupled with JSN 6 for 60 and 0.
That's going to be at the 2 touchdown Cooper Kupp straight up. You're getting it like 50 to 1.
That's what I'm saying. But 50 to 1. If that happens, I'd rather have it in DFS.
But he's going to be super owned in DFS.
So that would be my thing. Is Rams scheme for JSN and McDonald or whatever just finds Kupp for 2 touchdowns somehow.
Okay.
That'll be my and that would be the unfortunate revenge, wouldn't it? But you know what? It could be 2 touchdowns in a backdoor cover. So with the Rams win anyway for Bob.
Yeah, the Rams win 30-24 in a backdoor cover with the 2 touchdowns late from.
Love it. Yeah, love it.
There we go. All right.
I want to, not really like a crazy play. I do think Adams goes back to actually performing because he's underperformed like last month. Like I think Devontae Adams catches a touchdown today and actually competes to be very important for DFS.
Well, one thing
I'll throw one more, by the way, only because I mentioned him before. Again, in a 2-game slate, you only need like one big play, really. And I'll go back to the Kyle Williams.
Okay. And that's another guy I've got a few percentages of, so I'm happy with that. I really think the right thing to do on these small slates is to make sure you're overweight these on the 2-gamer. Just get overweight these unowned receivers. Look, they one of these guys could outscore JSN or Puka. It's one game. Anyway,
let's see. Any news on Matt Collins yet?
Matt Collins in.
He's in. Okay.
Officially active. So we'll see. And the Patriots are wild because they run so many receivers out there. Like, Diggs plays like 20 plays a game. They have all these guys who play like 20 plays. It really feels like it could be anybody for the Patriots. Anyway. All right. I think we're good, guys. Rody, why don't you take us out of here for the final whatever classic slate of the year?
Yeah. All right, guys. As always, good luck and let's get it.
Let's get it. Good luck, everybody.
Good luck,
guys.
Good luck, guys.